A mountain crystal, quartz. When we hold it in our hand, we feel the impeccable purity that it emanates and embodies. It delights with its beauty, and light can dance within it in the most charming way. Its molecular structure is arranged in the highest possible order, in an evenly distributed network of atomic connections, throughout which reigns complete, harmonious balance. The crystal is the most harmonized structure of a given substance. It is the epitome of perfect harmony. My story is very similar to those of all who live in a constant world of chaos, noise, and constant tasks. Running and driving around, phones that ring non-stop, emails. There's a lot of noise, especially living in a big city. We're practically unable to experience silence anywhere. I couldn't cope with all of it because I couldn't escape. I couldn't find silence. The fact that you live in a beautiful city, in a beautiful apartment, that you can buy a car, any car you want, will not replace your peace. This is a story about an extraordinary instrument and extraordinary people who use the harmony of crystal to improve the quality of their own lives and those of other beings. A story that shows what vibrational healing is really about. Hello friends, I'm Juanita Pena from Colombia, and I'm a musician and a sound therapist, as well as a dancer. I've been working with the crystal harp for several years, and it is a great element in my therapies. Crystal harps are a therapeutic tool that help greatly to regenerate and restore the harmony of the body. I also use crystal harps not only in my therapies, but with my children and family. The crystal harp is a wonderful tool to use in my sessions to help people relax, raise their vibrations, and have better experiences with sound. It's amazing because you can have in one instrument a whole set of crystal sounds that can support your work in therapy. Crystal harps have a special characteristic. They are tuned to a frequency of 432 Hertz. This frequency is similar to the frequency of nature. Healing instruments emit vibrations. This vibration, when sound is present, can move water. If we are internally about 70% water, then when we use instruments like crystal harps, applying these sounds to specific areas of the body, we can release any blockages from it. We therapists often use this type of instrument to help people relax, to release physical discomfort or any kind of anxiety related to their psyche or situations that they are not handling properly. I'm Tomek. I'm the cause of all this fuss about crystal instruments, crystal harps, and I'm also the person who provides a bit of vision to the company, what it should be like, what it should look like. I also ran a store with various instruments for some time, named Thomas Harmony, and I sold these instruments for a very long time. We currently have a studio and we're creating completely new instruments. My idea was to give the world a unique instrument, something that completely changes the idea of quality. I've been dealing strictly with the topic of crystal harps since 2017, but at that time they were single pieces, still built on wooden bodies. And really these harps that are here are already such a version with many improvements, with many new designs, and it really is constantly evolving. And you can say that with every few harps that are created, a new revision arises of which direction it should go and how they can be even better. And better interact with people, really. But at this point, we are already at such a level that this quality and this precision of transmitting, this very harmony, that is, this quartz, because quartz has this frequency structure, which is harmony. At this moment, these instruments are very precise in what they do. And we have here a crystal vibration, a vibration that is totally harmonized, that is perfectly structured. The atoms in a crystal structure are arranged as perfectly as possible, only in balance, which is why crystals are transparent, because their structure is arranged in this balance, and this structure goes into the vibration, the sound. And I'm not just talking about sound because the harp is not only sound, it's also physical vibration. If we put our hand close to the harp, we feel how it vibrates, we feel how the air is actually spreading. I started running businesses at the age of 19. Sometimes I ran a few companies simultaneously to feel safe. If one thing doesn't work out, something else will always work out. And apart from that, I was simultaneously involved in music, so I never had any free time, rest or relaxation. I don't really remember any moments in which I would consciously rest and I would consciously relax. And I just came to the conclusion that I wanted to treat myself to this comfort, but I really didn't know how. Then I met my business partners, Tomek and Michał, who showed me this beautiful instrument. I didn't even know that this instrument was made of crystal. I didn't know yet what it could be used for, but when I heard its sound, I felt great peace. What happened to me then was a turning point in my life. My name is Basia Pączkowska. I've been a music therapist for a long time. I've been working with disabled people for many years. I also work with people in deep crises, but I also use sound for people who are on the path of their own development, individual, spiritual development. Harps give us an extraordinary opportunity to connect with our crystalline body. And it's beautiful because harps do this in a very subtle way. And we humans do not only have one physical body, we are multidimensional, and we travel in this reality and in other realities through different structures, different bodies, and the sound of the harp, which is from quartz, reminds us of the world of crystals that carry the memory of this planet. It also reminds us about our cosmic connections with our cosmic family. Each of us is from some place in the universe. Crystal harps, in such a subtle way, remind us of our very multidimensionality. Breathe deeply. Good journey, friends.
Dobrej podróży, przyjaciele.
Hi, my name is David and I live in Peru. I'm from Poland, and in Peru I work as a plant medicine facilitator, and I also work as a sound healer, music producer, and ecstatic dance DJ. My first impression with the Ethereal Wings crystal harp was a big shock. I fell in love with it straight away. I'm a big fan of vibrational sound healing instruments. I love the meditative state it can bring you in, and I think it's the future of mind-body healing practices. Together with plant medicine, they work so well to bring you into the state of coherence between the heart and the mind. So I'm the lucky user of the first harp, the prototype, and I've been using it for quite a while now in the Amazon jungle of Peru. I work in an ayahuasca center there with the Shipibo indigenous shamans, and the harp is usually used at the end of the ceremony to bring some light into the space, bring that angelic energy after a hard work in the ceremony, and usually it relaxes people a lot, and it brings them into a state of joy and peace. What I learned from the Shipibo shamans is that they use their voice to go between frequencies, and with that they clean people's energies, and they clean any energetic blockages or attachments. So what I try to do with the harp is also follow that, to start with high notes sometimes and go down and then repeat, or start with the low notes and go up, and kind of wave the harp over people's bodies and clean the energy from the feet up to the head and back, so that if there's anything left after the ceremony, any residue, energetic blockages, I still clean that out, so they can go to sleep with much more ease and peace.
I'm guided in life by my dreams, in the sense that I follow my dreams. And my first big dream was to become a DJ. And while I was in university, I fulfilled it, which in fact allowed me to support myself during my studies. When I graduated, my next dream was to become a designer of machines. And I started to achieve that while at the same time playing in clubs and at various events. So on the weekend I was a DJ, and during the week I was an engineer. Due to the fact that the club DJ industry is very exposed to various types of stimulants, especially alcohol, but also others, and after 10 years there came a moment when I felt that something had to change. And actually, on my 30th birthday, I decided that I didn't want to drink alcohol, and I kind of left that part behind me. I stopped having fun playing for people under the influence of various intoxicating substances because I couldn't fully connect with their energy and feel them. Fortunately, I found myself in the company of people who told me there is something that I could do with these skills in this spiritual world, in this world without alcohol, without stimulants, and that's called ecstatic dance. It was like a revelation to me. I went to my first class at my first workshop for ecstatic dance, and I realized that this was the place for me. A place where no one judges you, where you can express yourself in dance. At the end of each ecstatic dance workshop, there is a part called sound healing, where there's just calmness and relaxation. I got very involved in ecstatic dance, and in it I found my new path. And it was very clear that I also very deeply sank into, I was soaked into this world of sound healing. My name is Wojciech Horny. I'm a keyboardist musician. I produce and arrange music. I create music for movies, games, and apart from that, I'm also an active stage musician. I produce and make music for movies. I won't say what kind because I can't really, but creating this music where in the arrangement there's a lot of such ambient spatial sounds, where there's a bit of orchestra and so on. I was just looking for some kind of instrument that, with its sound, will cause such an effect in the listener, such an atmosphere of amazement, such unusual color and sound. And the moment my friend delivered me this instrument and I played a few notes on it, I went crazy. I went crazy because, honestly, what comes out of these few crystal tubes is simply indescribable. As I'm a musician, my musical past is like most other musicians. Very loud, very rock and roll, with many adventures. So that my musical future is about healing and relaxation. My passion became creating new scales that you can listen to on newer and newer harps. The path I entered, thanks to crystal harps, thanks to the fact that I engage with them, that I create new scales, and I'm creating this business, is a reflection of my internal transformation. This sounds beautiful. It sustains the sound incredibly long, because I understand that it's crystal, right? Yeah, it's quartz. Yes, quartz. You make them beautifully. It really sounds beautiful. I've had the opportunity to play a few crystal harps before, and I'm always just really impressed by how long this quartz can sustain sound, how long it lasts. I play crystal bowls sometimes, but with this, there's the one plus, that we can guide the sound, send it to different places. Then in such sound healing sessions, it's very important how that sound carries, how it develops, how it bends in that space. So here it's definitely an advantage over crystal bowls, that you can maneuver the sound a bit more and set these waves in additional motion to somewhere. It is such a beautiful instrument. It looks beautiful, it sounds beautiful, that every time I take it in my hand, I feel a little bit like I'm actually playing it for the first time. And it's a sound that kind of calls for you to just stop, similar to the handpan on which I play. I know that the handpan is a little bit different in terms of characteristics, but this quartz has something that when you start playing it, it seems like suddenly the clock hand slows down, and suddenly a person becomes one with this infinite present. My name is Weronika Łapot, and I'm from Tri-City. For over 5 years, I've been working with children and families, and for 2 years, I've been creating events such as relaxation concerts in various schools and preschools. I'm a Spanish teacher. I also work as support in primary school, and I run yoga classes for children and families. And in these classes, I'm introducing elements of music therapy. One of these elements of music therapy are harps. For the last 2 years, there have been many beautiful moments related to children and their relationships with their parents. One of these moments, I remember, there was an 8-year-old who came to class with her mother. When they heard the sound of the harp, Utska, the 8-year-old, approached her mother and asked if she could start sucking her breast. It later turned out that the mother, Marta, who's my friend, told me that her daughter, when she was little, had a lot of blockages when it came to the natural act of suckling. And from that moment on, their closeness changed. Their relationship became deeper, and more intimacy began to appear. Actually, to play slower is to play better. By slowing down on this instrument, we return to the present moment. It is also based on rather holistic knowledge about how harmonics affect people in general, and how it really is a necessary thing, because really, this is an instrument that heals. And you can say, oh, it heals, like that, but you can also have some knowledge of how it really heals. And it's enough to walk with such an instrument along the street, or, I don't know, on the beach, or among random people, and see how the first two sounds work, what their reaction is, what happens. So here it's something like an empirical or practical demonstration that this instrument can prove itself. I previously saw harps which were of very poor quality, and it happened that I ordered such instruments, and I never even sold them. In fact, I took them apart and they were never sold because there were a lot of defects. Locks were falling off, the tuning quality was terrible, really out of tune. And I came to the conclusion that such an instrument just can't be like this. It's too beautiful an instrument to look like it was created in a laboratory. And that's how the first concept was born. The second one is that I'm inspired by, for example, paintings by various artists, among others Kagai, and some of them contain spiritual tool instruments. And I thought it would be cool to create spiritual tools, something that is in some way from a completely different vibration, and this vibration emanates throughout. So these harps were created with this intention to introduce something more ethereal. The sound of crystal harps is for people who are simply open to this vibration. In other words, they feel this sound as pleasant, mild. This means that you can be open to this quality, to this message that the crystal harp gives. And that's it. You don't need any special qualities or any mysterious spiritual development. It's enough that the sound speaks to you, takes you somewhere on a journey to you, to your interior, to your heart, maybe some memories. Maybe also to memories that you can't recognize at all from this life. But these are also your memories. They're important. And we, in our journey on this planet, need to remind ourselves more about ourselves in order to be fully immersed here, not to escape from the processes that are on this planet, because they can be our challenges. We live in times where life can really be heavy. And the crystal harp has the quality that it illuminates this heaviness with sound. It illuminates it precisely with its beautiful harmony. I have so much gratitude in my heart for this instrument, that it exists, that I can use it, that I can also show it to people, for the fact that the harp's sounds reverberate in our home. It is a beautiful quality that I missed without even knowing it. The relaxation element in yoga classes for children is an element that children have started to wait for. That is, we introduce dynamic games, yoga games, of conscious body movement, and in the end, it usually lasts about 20-30 minutes. Children just lie down and rest. It's a moment where they can get closer to themselves, get closer to their body, as well as to their consciousness and their subconsciousness, where already at the age of really 6, even 5, I have met with some children who eagerly want to do such an activity. They want to delve into themselves. They want to discover awareness of what is tangible, but also of what they cannot really touch. So this interior, this depth of oneself, I think consciously entering a state of rest, that is a value which will later have many benefits in many spheres in their future. Each model of the crystal harp instrument, each key that is created, is like a different type of vision. It's called a different mode. That is a different type of action, but each of these harps is tuned to something like completely different areas, different spaces, different feelings. My original harp, the most important one, which is my sound, my tones, is the sun. It's a sun harp, and I feel good with it, and I can play it the best. And these are my sounds, and it, in and of itself, is supposed to bring joy, lightness, bliss, not necessarily a lot of emotions. It is in major scale, so it's joyful. But there are models that are exactly the opposite. The moon harps works in such a way that it triggers emotions. Celtic Moon B is mystical, magical, nostalgic, emotional key. There are a lot of emotions in it, a lot of different processes that are going on. I know that women generally like this key because it strongly correlates with emotions. And sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's not nice, it can vary. It doesn't evoke only joy, although it does also arise, but emotions are primary in such moments. It's simply a minor instrument, and the minor scale allows you to connect to these emotions. So it's like a different type of instrument. In my opinion, it's also cool to choose them intuitively. There's a key called Ethereal C. It's a standard key that's also compatible with crystal bowls. Only it's an octave higher, so it can etherically harmonize. Actually, every key harmonizes with crystal bowls, and it's a nice complement. But Ethereal C is strictly for chakras, for systems, for balance. It also contains only full tones starting from C. We also have tones that are more healing, more strictly grounding, like Earth Ohm C, or Deep Earth Ohm G, which are based on a similar melodic line, and they are for healing. They are supposed to induce this kind of rooting of being in the present moment. It's like a different scale that has the task of just... But everything I'm saying is information for the mind, because everyone chooses their instrument in an intuitive way. And I even sometimes tell people, listen to this instrument, all these recordings, how each one sounds. But don't look at its name at all. Even close your eyes. Listen to all the recordings, and then open them and say, that was the one. Because if there are some sounds that don't work together, you feel like, I don't really like it. And then you won't even bother using it. So intuition always wins, and I know people who could take 3 hours to choose an instrument, go around in circles, and then they know, after that, they're not sure, but in the end, intuition did all the work. Hi, I'm Michał Wing. I'm responsible for the design and engineering of both the instruments themselves and the devices that support production. One of my tasks at Ethereal Wings is to look for ways to improve production, and in this matter, we are very open to what we hear from our employees and about what the production process looks like and what we can improve, what is needed, so that we can make the process even better, easier, lighter, and, simply with a good energy. That's why we sit back at the computer where we come up with ways to improve this process, what devices or machines to create so that we can produce the parts of the instruments in a much better and easier way. For example, one of the processes that we improved was the grinding process, which is key when it comes to the sound quality or the quality of finishing the entire instrument. I've heard people say that what we create, this product, isn't just some product. It's a fragment or moment of someone's life, the soul of the time they devoted when they designed it. So I very strongly apply this attitude to my engineering work. And we've put all these experiences into the design of the Ethereal Wings harp and in the way we create devices that support our production of the harp. The moment came when Tomek invited me to join the Ethereal Wings project, and he said he had this vision. He drew the shape by hand that it was supposed to have and asked what we had to do to make it possible to materially, repeatably produce it. Well, of course, you have to use certain industrial engineering tools, and I wanted it to be beautiful. What can we do to make it beautiful? And that was an amazing creative process when, together, as the creators, founders of Ethereal Wings, I sat down with Tomek and Piotr at the computer, and we played with every detail, every moment of design. And we sat down and felt out whether it vibrated the way we wanted, whether it was beautiful. I come from the engineering world, from the world of machines, industrial machines. My intention, when I saw what this world looked like, was to design and build beautiful machines. Not only functional machines, not only those that fulfill their function, but also, at times, to bring beauty into this gray, black, and white world of industrial production. And here it turns out that this fragment of my soul, that which I had to convey, and this kind intention began to transfer to the way people worked with these machines, which was a very big surprise. But the employees would say to me, "Hey, I really enjoy working with this. I don't know why, but it's better than the machine I was just working on." And that was the beginning of this vision, that this energy flows from the initial idea, if you start with kindness and good intentions, and the desire to create something beautiful, it flows to the very end of the process, to the one who uses and works with a machine. And that's the intention that guides me as a designer, to make it beautiful, but also functional. Hi, my name is Kasia. My main daily task is to prepare our instruments so that our customers get them in the best possible quality. I love this place because in our team, everyone is recognized, and there is room for our good days and our bad days. We feel like part of the team, not second-class employees, but we're simply part of the team. And you can really feel that every day. You can feel that atmosphere here. Working with such instruments certainly contributes to this feeling, and we really want to share that with people around the world. Because it's not an ordinary classical instrument, meaning that it's not an instrument we simply play a melody on. A harp is something more. A harp is what we reach out to people with, and what is hidden behind the sound when we play it, which makes our instruments magical. And among other things, we put our whole hearts into how they're created, and the kind of atmosphere they're created in. No one here is forced to come to work. No one here comes with some very negative energy. And even if they do, it's also exactly the magic of these instruments, that even when we come in and we're having a bad day, we wake up and we have some kind of darker energy within ourselves just by coming to this place. Firstly, we feel the support of the people who are here. And secondly, we can use these very instruments And it really happens sometimes that we come in and it's raining, it's a Polish autumn, but the moment we pick up an instrument, after only a few sounds, it takes us to a completely different level. We deeply believe that what we put into these instruments, apart from the physical side, apart from the fact that it's a crystal tube and a body and so on, there's also this aura surrounding the instrument, what we give from ourselves while creating it, what comes to us from the top, from the management, their various ideas, but also from us, the employees, makes us feel like a team. We feel like a part of it all, and really, there's a piece of each of us in each instrument. It's not just a thing that we make and send. We truly send a little piece of ourselves to every customer, a piece with which we created this harp. I came to this place from a completely different industry. I worked in the shipping industry before, which is a part of heavy industry and is connected to the corporate world. And that world was missing the human touch. There was nothing there like respect for a human being, as a human being, as simply a being. There, you were just an employee, and here in this place, it's the opposite. We are people here, first and foremost. I'm a mother of a 4-year-old boy. Actually, he's already 4.5. And as every mother knows, there are demanding days for both mother and child. I generally have such experience that when my son Kuba has, for example, a bad day, where we as adults are able to somehow regulate ourselves, this comes with greater difficulty to a child. They can't do it completely. Sometimes we do these evening sound baths, because these sounds allow a child to calm down after the whole day. And this can be a type of evening ritual for mother and child. I'm absolutely convinced that if everyone had a small harp at home, or a large harp, or best of all, the largest harp, if they simply had this harp and could, in the morning, go, oh, I'm just getting up, I'm having a bad day, they just tap, 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 and that day is simply better. These vibrations also positively affect our body, which is something that we sometimes have difficulty with receiving on a daily basis, or in general, we may be blocked from receiving this kind of stimulus. The harp has the ability to reach what is inside us, in our body, not only in our mind, but also precisely in our body. Hello, my name is Kamil. I've been working at Ethereal Wings for a year now. As a production master, I'm involved in the production of these instruments. I take care of the preparation and processing of the crystal tubes, and ensure that each one has the proper sound. One of our main priorities here is that the harps, apart from sounding beautiful, also look beautiful. I love this place. I love our energy. I love that we've created a group of friends here in this company. We have great contacts with each other. We get along great. We are also often involved in other projects together. I'm also an ambassador of Crystal Harps, and I've already played a dozen or so concerts on Crystal Harps. I love that these instruments are very intuitive, that really anyone can play. But most of all, I love the reactions. I love to see that first reaction when someone hears that sound, when I can close my eyes and just listen. Very often these harp sounds are so characteristic that when we play it, these sounds are heard for the first time. So very often I encounter such joy, as with children, as with small children who experience something new. I was born with a peculiar hearing impairment. In my family, only men from the paternal side, have slight hearing loss. And in my case, it simply manifests in other senses being sharper. So I feel the harps very clearly. Sometimes I don't hear the sounds as much as I feel them. And what is very special to me is that the harp is a kind of portal. It's a kind of gate to our vibrations. And how does that feel? Well, it's something like, depending on what I actually feel, how I feel, I can go very deeply into the harp, and the harp is able to transfer the vibration, transfer my energy. Producing crystal harps requires great care and is, for me, an entrance into full concentration. It's a time when I'm not distracted by anything, when I'm in maximum flow, and really each harp is unique. The production of each harp is special. It's always a beautiful, deep journey. When I played for my friends for the first time, I'm getting goosebumps, because there were people there who also had never been to any such music therapy sessions, any sound baths, and it really happened. It happened that the girls had tears in their eyes, and the feedback was that the music penetrated them.
I właśnie feedback był taki, że ta muzyka przenikała do środka.
Hi, I'm Radek. I'm a musician. I play percussion instruments, guitar, and I sing. But I've also been doing musical relaxation sessions for a few years, using, among other things, this beautiful harp. I definitely use the harp to relax myself, but above all, to get to know this instrument, so that if I want to play a concert and I want to use such an instrument, I just want to be very familiar with it, to know how the scale sounds. But this instrument also inspires me to create music on it. And I've already started composing a piece with this exact scale, Heavenly Sun. I hope it'll be a bit ambient and a bit electronic, I don't know yet. This piece is still wandering around somewhere in my mind. My name is Karolina Bartoszewska. I work in marketing at the Hospice Foundation. The crystal harp came to me not long ago, on my birthday to be exact. My dear friend brought me a harp as a gift and played it. From my first contact with the harp, I fell in love with this instrument. I have the pleasure that, thanks to this harp, I meet wonderful people. I play for children as well as adults. Together with Radek, I play musical sound relaxation on these beautiful crystal harps. This year, we had the pleasure of playing several times on the beach in Orłowo, in the bosom of nature, near the sea. We're actually fresh after yesterday's evening relaxation, which we had the pleasure of playing in a hotel in Gdynia. It is very pleasant to observe how people allow themselves to let the sound flow into their bodies, into their minds, as they are deeply able to float away with the sound.
My name is Jason, and I first met this instrument at a sound healing event at the beach. And I couldn't see what it was, but I definitely heard it, and I thought it was incredibly beautiful. Similar to the crystal bowls that were being played, but different and new. And being someone who's been to many sound healings, I thought it was just a wonderful addition to the instrumentation that they offer there. So then I soon met Tommy, and who builds these, and thought that this should be in America. All the sound healing events I would go to, my friends put on, and so yeah, I just think this would be a great addition to all sound healing, and really to every kind of event that has special instruments like this. Personally, I've studied physics and math and also music composition, and so I've done projects about the history of musical scale, and then I've designed and led math classes, essentially, where we would build similar instruments out of plastic, all based off of the lengths. This mathematics that Pythagoras originally came up with when he invented the Ionian scale that all of Western music is based off of. So I found this interesting in not only a mathematical and historical perspective, but just listening to it. I mean, it's just such a beautiful healing sound, and so I'd like to bring it to my friends and all the other people in America.
What's amazing is that this instrument is tuned incredibly, because it's quite an important thing in so-called percussion instruments or struck instruments and so on. It's very important that the instrument is tuned perfectly, because it can't simply be tuned like any of these synthesizers that are in my studio. Each one of these can be tuned with one knob, left or right. But here, in the case of this instrument, it sounds brilliant. And this, I think, is also the key to this instrument, that it's perfectly tuned. The crystal harp is such an incredible link for me, almost a transfer between what is simply in the deepest part of my heart and that in some beautiful way you can connect it with space. The vibration that this harp gives me to my body, to space, to what it creates within me is incredible. And I feel that I have, at the deepest and most beautiful level, a connection with myself during my encounter with the harp. Adding vocals to that is, for me, such an incredible combination that somehow, throughout my whole body, I feel the vibrations. I feel it going through me like such a wave, such a rain, a heavenly rain that fills me from the inside, fully and completely. And I'm personally simply in love with the possibilities it gives, what we can feel, and what we can also give to others by playing such a harp, and what at the same time comes to us. And I think that it is I feel that it is a connection of our hearts. It is a connection of our hearts and a connection of our souls and a connection of our bodies. It's magic. Magic that is simply in the form of a harp. It's diamond magic, crystal magic, everything that is beautiful. So much can be discovered. You can experience wonderful journeys with harps. And what comes to us is extraordinary and worth developing and noticing further in mindfulness. Exactly. This mindfulness, I feel, that comes with this sound, from this frequency. And harmony that appears in me when I touch it. When I can play a single sound on it, or a whole harmony of sounds.